So guys, it came as a shocking news to many Nigerians as the Tinubu's government decided to let go its service chiefs. So guys, we know recently there was this alleged coup being rumored. And when people began to ask, as we were told that some military men were arrested, guess what the defense headquarters replied Nigerians, saying, oh, they failed exams and all that. So people began to ask deeper questions as to the rumor of the alleged coup that was about to happen. But as it stands now, the Tinubu's government has decided to let go all its service chiefs. So guys, a whole lot is happening. This government does not want to take chances before they hear that, oh, it happened within a twinkling of an eye. I'm just going to allow you to listen to how SA and Agbakoba has spoken on this. But before we get into the video, take a look at this worrisome headline on the Twitter space. It says, soldiers raise alarm as Nigeria army forces them to work with repentant Boko Haram fighters they don't trust. Nigerian soldiers are raising alarm, saying Nigerian military is forcing them that they must work with repentant Boko Haram. Possibly is it that they want to recruit them into the army or what? So guys, that tells you that we still have a long way to go if we really want to solve this insecurity problem. We've always been told that Boko Haram has insiders in the military that always give them, precise information that helps them to, get to their targets. They come, they invade, they do all kinds of things, even in military bases, and they get away without being caught. We've always been told that they have insiders giving them information, and now the Nigerian military is even bringing in the so-called repentant Boko Haram. So guys, how are we going to get out of this mess? Anyway, guys, let me allow you to listen to what SA and Agbakoba has got to say about why Tinubu decided to let go his service chiefs. Do you think it is the right decision to take? This is coming at a time when the US is saying Nigeria is going to be tagged a country of particular concern because of the rate at which Christians are being killed in this country. Now, take your time and watch this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Now, take a look.
Well, to send the rank and file that you have a president who is prepared to take tough decisions, and we know that the president always likes to take tough decisions, even though some of those decisions don't have consequential knock-on effects. So again, he has taken a tough decision because we know that President Buhari wasn't prepared to take tough decisions, and he allowed his military chiefs to stay far longer than they should have. So our president has again taken a tough one. But the big question would be, will this decision impact on the security situation in Nigeria? I think that's what we need to see.
I mean, so there are those who will see these from different perspectives. One, as a survivor mode that the president has entered into and has activated. Because if there is a rumored coup, nobody, in fact, during the military era, rumor coup, rumor of a coup is a death sentence. I mean, you don't want to take chance as the head of state and the head of the military. You don't want to take chance. And imagine that on the other hand, there are those who will say it will send some confidence building into the military. And on the other hand, it's a case of whoever is behind, either true or false, we know that game is over. But I hope that wherever this smoke is coming from, it's totally over. We cannot, some of you were thrown behind the bar. Some of you exiled out of the country during the military days. That is a path that we don't want to return to. We do not want to see any military person rule this country in terms of being in a khaki and ruling this country. It is a dangerous scenario that is playing out, isn't it? Well, especially for what we see in our 4 or 5 nations of Africa.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if it is indeed true that there was a rumored coup and intelligence came to the president that there was this rumor, then I think he would be sensible to do exactly what he has done. It's only sensible to take a decision that would not impair the security of Nigeria. So whether it's a rumored coup or the 2-year example given by the retired general, the decision by the president has been taken. What we now need to see is the impact of the decision. Will it improve security, which is the problem? Is it going to make that radical, transformational change to the Nigerian situation? So all the killings around Nigeria will go down. If that happens, then I'll say kudos to the president.
Mr. Agbakoba, my major reason for inviting you tonight is one policy document that you've taken time to draft. And you said that According to that bold new policy document, you said that Nigeria's pathway to true transformation lies not in more economic tinkering, but in a total restructuring of power and governance. That document you titled "Devolution is the Solution." Now, in all of what you've said, you have called for the complete replacement of the 1999 Constitution, transfer of key powers to state and local government, and a governance model rooted in fiscal federalism, where productivity, not central control, drives development. These are some of the issues that you have raised, and you broke it down into segments. I took my time to dissect that document. You said that for us as a country, the reform agenda will help Nigeria in terms of control of their resources and the federating unit to be able to stand on their feet, and it will unlock what you call over 25 to 35 trillion naira in new annual revenue opportunities. So let's begin that conversation around that document. We'll do some literary appraisal and analysis or critique of it. First and foremost, the question anybody will ask you, now, constitution amendment we want chop, now constitution be our problem. For those who cannot feed, for those who are having a hard time, they will say, oh, now that won't be our problem. Mr. Agbakoba, that won't be our problem.
I agree entirely. But also, we must confront the problem. I agree that people on the streets are going to say, how does that concern us? This seems like another academic discourse. But we must engage the issues. But before I do that, let me use this opportunity, because in your intro, you referred to Showore and the travails he's going through today. So I wanted to use the opportunity to applaud him for what he's doing. He was, when I was very active, he was one of my strong commanders of street protests. So I'm very pleased that he's carried on what we're doing. So that, I think, ought to be applauded. Because if you don't applaud people for what they're doing, then he may say, is anybody behind me? So I want you, Showore, to know that I'm absolutely 100% behind you. And that keys in with the whole, trajectory of Nigeria's democratic challenge. How can we have spent 25 years discussing constitutional amendments? That's my problem. And that's why we are in such a bad situation. And that's why I say the only way we can get to grips with Nigeria's problem is to look at the foundation of this country. So I liken Nigeria to a 50-story building. And we can see the architects have come to examine the building, and the engineers have said, unless you bring this building down, it's going to collapse. So that's what I think Nigeria will face as it goes along. Unless we say to ourselves, this constitution isn't working. Let's stop this hypocrisy. It's not working. No amount of amendment, shaving this one, changing that will make it work. And if you don't get the constitutional processes right, if you don't build the political foundation, put it in good order, you can never have economic prosperity. So this is the connection. And that's why we have 140 million very dispossessed and hungry Nigerians. So the thesis behind my policy paper is, let's fix the constitution. And we can only fix the constitution by looking at the nature of our federalism. It's too strong. Abuja is the competition. Everybody wants to be in Abuja because all the power is in Abuja. There's no power in my local government where I come from, in Onitsha. Nobody wants to be chairman of the local government of Onitsha. Everybody wants to be either governor or the president. The president has far too many powers. He can't exercise those powers effectively. And that's why we have these challenges. So my thesis is this. If you want economic prosperity, involve more of the political leaders in the process. We have 774 local governments, 36 governors who are idle. Maybe Lagos and Rivers. Maybe the other states are bankrupt. They depend on printed money from the central bank. They are absolutely fiscally deficit. They can't function. they have to come to Abuja every month to collect printed banknotes to go and pay their civil servants. What type of a country is this? What kind of a country is this? We've got to face the reality that this country is not working. And the only way to make it work is to devolve power from the center down to the states.
Yeah. So you're speaking in a language that a lot of Nigerians should be itching to know how you will break down the solution. And I'm going to come there. Yeah, and I'm going to come there in a moment. Let me take a break. But when we come back, my question to you, Mr. Agbakoba, and I'd like you to help me prepare the way you will answer, is that, is it a new constitution, or we can use welder and plumber and bricklayer to panabit the one we have right now? If not, can the political leadership of today decide for us that we are going to have a new constitution? That's a major problem. Are there going to be those one who will be the barrier in us getting to our destination? That's going to be my next question to you after this break, Mr. Agbakoba. Be right back, everyone, for staying with us. Mr. Olisa Agbakoba, a very senior lawyer and a former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, has come out with a document, a very detailed one, describing how Nigeria can get out of the conundrum, which I described tonight as a constitutional conundrum, because we say there's a problem with the constitution, but how do we exit it? What do we do with it? We've been repairing and repairing. We've done 5 alterations of that document since 1999, when we got into the Fourth Republic. But the question is the constitution a problem? If it is, how do we get rid of it? Can we exit it? What about the vacuum? Mr. Agbakoba has seen it all. Constitutional amendment, framing of new constitution from 79 to date and all of that, the Republican constitution, a lot of things that have happened in this country. Mr. Agbakoba, my question, which I laid a premise to before we went on that break, is that what do we need? When you say that there is a structural problem, it lies in the fundamentals of what brings us together as a people, meaning that our constitution is lacking the fortification to allow the state to function properly. Then the question, do we need a new constitution, or we can keep amending this one, or where do we go from here?
Yeah, well, I think history can help us answer the question you have posed. Remember that the late Bola Ige once posed 2 important questions. The first question he put to us back then, when he was alive, was, what do we want to do? Are we prepared to be in one country called Nigeria? That was the first important, critical question that he put on the table. He then put a second subsidiary question. If we answer in the positive, that we want to be one, what type of arrangements do we think suits us? Those are the 2 questions. Since Bola Ige's death over 20 years ago, these 2 questions have been unanswered. And I think that is part of our problem. We all know that we are a nation of diverse people. Our president returned us to the national anthem, which I think people say suits us better than the Arise or Compatriots. Now, if you have diverse people, then you are looking for a political arrangement that will suit our diversity. That's where federalism comes in. So we agree that a federal system is suitable for Nigeria. The problem is, what type of federal system is suitable? There's several. In political language, we talk about centripetal and centrifugal. Centrifugal meaning a pyramid where everything is on top. Centripetal meaning that everyone has space. The late Chief M.K. Obiala once put it to me in a very, very simple way. He said, he's got 4 wives, and if all wives were centralized in his one big building, and they all have children, and the quarrel would be, what soup do we have for the day? It'll be what Nigerians call kata kata. But what he said made sense to me. If you put the wives in different arrangements around his big mansion, then whatever wife wants to make whatever soup or rice for whatever kid, there will be no problem, because that is been devolved at another level, not his level. That, I think, is so apt for Nigeria. Nigeria is made up of 300 different ethnicities, several languages, but we have only one strong presidential system. Only one president with all the powers. That's the problem. The governors have no powers. They're not chief security officers. When Rotimi Amechi was governor of Anambra of Rivers State, he wasn't even allowed into his government lodge because the police blocked him out. So the real question that we need to pose is, do we have a constitution that reflects our federalism? That's all. We don't. Do I trust the National Assembly to give us a constitution? Well, I have a problem with the National Assembly because they've taken 25 years in doing this and they have reached no solution. Am I more concerned with process? So some talk about referendum. I'm not. I'm interested in what Nigerians need. And if we can have the National Assembly produce a constitution which, if they show everybody, will all say, this is what we want, I'm all for it. But so, looking at the history of looking at yes.
So I was going to categorically, we need a brand new constitution, right?
Yes.
Who are those that will draft it? How do we go about it? How do we come about a brand new constitution?
No, before we get to that, it is first to analyze who we are and where we want to go. That's where I was headed. Then we now come to the question you are asking. So I would then ask, should the National Assembly do it? Look, I would say, yeah, maybe, but they've spent too much time, 25 years. Or do we have a national constitutional conference? Well, we've had a lot of them, and there's been no result. So you can see that neither of the national confab system or the National Assembly system has produced results. So I would say that the only person who can drive this agenda is the president. And remember that when they were campaigning, Peter Obi, Atiku, Tinubu all made the issue of devolution a central and cardinal program of their agendas. But I don't hear anybody saying anything about it. President Tinubu has been in office long enough to have promulgated for us a new constitution in 6 months. So if the National Assembly hasn't done well, the national constitution conferences that have been called by OBJ, by IBB, by even Abacha, by Jonathan, produce no results, then maybe let's ask the president, you are the chief executive officer of Nigeria, exercising executive power under Section 5 of the Constitution. Give us a constitution. Let's look at it. Let's absolutely look at it. You have the power to do that. After all, the president gave financial autonomy to the 774 local governments. He can drive a new constitutional process. So that's the what I see that is new. The National Assembly has done it 25 years and have achieved nothing. 5, 6, 7 past national constitutional conferences have achieved nothing. So maybe the president should now intervene the way he even intervened and removed the 7 chiefs in what you call a bold move. So let the president...
You were prescribing, or you prescribed a 4-year term for this to happen. And you've said that 25 years, this National Assembly has struggled to make the Constitution work, but you call the Constitution an irredeemable document. You said it means that between 2027 and 2030, we should be able to produce a brand new Constitution. The key word here is that if President Bola Tinubu decides to activate what you are proposing, won't there be a political derailment or pushback on this?
Why should that be? If he has the interest of Nigerians at heart, Why would there be? And he's not going to do it alone. There's a structure to which he has to report. There's the National Assembly, there's the civil society. We know what will be good when we see one. Everybody knows that the problem with Nigeria is that the constitutional arrangement makes the president. If President Tinubu were to produce a constitution that devolves real authority from the presidency down to the governors and down to the 774 local governments in a transparent way, I'm not sure he'll be opposed. But if he uses
Agbakoba,
yes.
you know so well, and you know too well about the structure of this country. A Nigerian president is perhaps one of the most powerful persons on earth. The power the Constitution of Nigeria gives to a president of Nigeria is almost absolute. There is almost nothing that the president wants that he cannot get. I mean, compared to other world leaders, I'm not sure about from the buttons that the American president presses he has access to the nuclear weaponry. The Nigerian president just wields so much power. Do you think a sitting Nigerian president will have the political will and the audacity to say, I will whittle down my own power by bringing a new constitution? Do you think it's practical? Do you think it's possible?
Why not? Why not? Doesn't he want to win elections? If people are suffering and what he does by bringing the new constitution makes him popular, isn't that a gain for him? I would think so. If the president is going to campaign for 2027 and in the process makes us feel good, wouldn't that be a plus for him? I would think so. I would think that if he were able to reduce poverty by empowering the local governments, really making the local governments to do what they ought to do, it would make him look good. Why should people think that when the president does good, it wouldn't count for him? So I would think, to be quite honest with you, that anyone who is in power, anybody who is in power, now I depart from the president, so I don't just talk about him, whether it's a governor or a local government chairman, if you want to win elections, is the easiest way not to make people happy? Or do you think it's by the current way of vote, ballot box snatching, killing people, rigging? Is that the best way to go? Is the best way not to say, what do people want? If I give people what they want, wouldn't they be happy to return it to power? So I would reverse the issue that you ask and say, if the president were to do what I am suggesting, it will raise his profile. He will eradicate poverty. He will create wealth. He will create a strong Nigeria. He will eradicate insecurity. That makes him popular. So there's nothing to stop him from doing it if he wants to, except he doesn't want to do it. But as I said to you, I hope that the National Assembly is listening to this, will just speed up the process. We can't spend 25 years tinkering with the Constitution. It's far too long. And I have no faith in the constitutional confab that we've held. We've held about 6, and it's gone nowhere. So let's try something new. I'm not averse to even trying a referendum if that process will lead to results. What Nigerians want, whichever way, as you said, that they're not interested in the big grammar. They're interested in how does it impact my life.
So Mr. Agbakoba, yes. So there is a popular question that worries the mind, and I've had a lot of legal debates over this matter. So this is the 1999 Constitution, and this is a brand new Constitution. The President of Nigeria swore mostly to the 1999 Constitution to uphold it. Now, if there is a new Constitution, that means his allegiance is no longer in the 1999 Constitution. There does a lot of people who say there is a problem there because he has sworn to uphold that Constitution. The other problem, Mr. Agbakoba, is how to exit this and bring about this. The vacuum and the lacuna. There are those who say even the National Assembly, as is presently constituted, if there is a new Constitution, they may have to exit, or it may impact on their own sitting or their own capacity and their own framework. Isn't that a major problem that is a legal problem, isn't it?
It's not. It's in the Constitution. Section 9 of the Constitution creates the avenue to create a new Constitution. It's fair. So it's not rocket science. It's just that they're not using it. They're working far too slow. My point is that we have enough material going back to 6 constitutional conferences for the National Assembly to put all together and invoke the relevant provisions of the Constitution to say, here's a new Constitution. And once they declare it with the support of the other states, then the only question is, should it be put to referendum? Let's say that it goes to referendum. It all comes back. Then the National Assembly will enact it into law. So it doesn't change anything. It doesn't destroy the system. The possibility of a new Constitution, the possibility of amendments are all in the Constitution, but they're not being used as quickly as possible. That's the problem.
All right. So, yeah. I'd like us to wrap up on 2 important legs. One is the economic aspect of what you are talking about. And when I hear a 35 trillion possibility of revenue, my ear tingles. The other one is about state policing. There is a major crisis there. Security is one of our major problems. If a new constitution will solve that problem, why don't we go that way? But we'll be right back after this break, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone. Our closing moment now with Mr. Ulisa Agbakoba on these audacious document on devolution is a solution. But one thing that comes out of it, you have called the governors powerless in terms of actually being able to exercise the ability to safeguard, protect the people within their territory in their state as a federating unit. And there are those who will say there's nothing wrong in states getting grants from the federal. You look at it, there's enormous amount of money that states, the 50 states in America gets from the center. So it's not a problem actually. But the ability of those federating units to be able to internalize the ability to raise revenue and make money and be independent, that's a major one. But quickly, security implication of what you are talking about. State policing sounds appealing in theory. But how do you then prevent them from becoming ethnic militias or tools for political persecution at a subnational level?
It's very easy, because in making a constitution, you create what Professor Wabeze calls the notion of limited government. So yes, the possibility of abuse by state governors of, state police power is there. But you can also have checks. After all, to a large extent, state judiciaries have been autonomous of their governors. I don't know, as a former member of the Nigerian National Judicial Council, we didn't have very many cases of governors subverting the judiciary at state level. So why is this? It's because they are strong institutions. So one of the things that I will be canvassing for a new constitution is the adoption of Chapter 10 of the South African Constitution, which is titled Institutions Consolidating Democracy. So they are set out and they have independent existence outside of the executive. So it's very possible to impute into the Constitution provisions that will ensure that governors cannot tamper with not just the police, the judiciary, INEC, things like that. They are Accountant General, all the relevant sensitive organizations that we don't want the executive to control can be isolated, given independent funding. Those are possibilities. And what hurts me is that the National Assembly is spending far too much time not considering all of these things. And it's choking Nigeria. We're not getting the sort of revenue that we should get. We have abundant revenue, but it's not coming out because we are spending too much time talking about the Constitution rather than fixing the Constitution. And so the economic opportunities that people should have been enjoying is not coming out.
All right, Mr. Agbakoba. Yeah, I don't want us to lose sight or lose track of this very important question before we close. And is the economic transition that you described. You said that you have identified up to 35 trillion naira in new annual revenue potential, which are in the areas of maritime, mineral, and regulatory reforms that could be effected if this policy that you have put together works. What are these first 3 actionable steps that we could begin with immediately that will take within the first year to start realizing any part of that figure? It's interesting to hear, very sweet to hear, but How practical is it for us to be able to achieve that?
Easy. Just take oil and gas. There's something called contract oil, which is different from development oil. So what Nigeria has done is to abdicate its ownership of our natural resources in oil and gas to the IOCs. So the IOCs run our oil and gas resources, and we're getting nothing. The federal government simply gets tax and royalty. But I say we should follow the model in Saudi Arabia, where they do everything. All along the value chain, Saudi Arabia controls it. In Nigeria, the IOCs control it. If we were to reverse that policy, you will see lots and lots of revenue staying in Nigeria. But it's not happening. So that's just oil and gas.
All right.
Two is, yeah.
I mean, we're totally out of time, but I'd like you to give me a categorical answer. 2 or 3 things I'd like to. You think that President Tinubu can do it? A new constitution, brand new constitution? You think it can be done in 4 years? And you think that this is the solution to Nigeria's problems?
It can be done in 6 months.
Wow.
6 months, not 4 years.
All right.
Because we have all the resources and materials. It's just to bring it together and promulgate it.
So guys, I'm just quickly going to take you through some of the reactions as regards to this headline of Nigerian soldiers raising alarm that the Nigerian military forces them to work with repentant Boko Haram fighters they don't trust. These are people that came from all kinds of background. They've been indoctrinated. No matter the level of repentance they claim to have had, you know, they don't still trust them, and they are raising alarm. Anyway, Nigerians have been talking. I'm going to take you through some of the reactions. You know, this is why some people are so reluctant joining the Nigerian army, because people now see it as the easiest way to go to eternity. If you join the Nigerian army, from the time you are recruited, you are sent to the battlefield, and you know what that means. Now, working with your enemies can even make it more complicated and even riskier. Now, let's see how Nigerians are reacting to this. This person said, Nigerian army, make owner they play. Common sense is really not so common. This person says, something is not right. What has happened to my beloved country? Nigeria is a terrorist country. This person said, right from the day the government starts forgiving Boko Haram members, that was when I knew the government had an Islamization agenda. Hey, this other person here saying Nigeria is a comic nation filled with different characters. This is the handiwork of Nunu Ribadu, and some accords to northern elites, our brothers from the north, aren't commenting. They've suddenly gone deaf and dumb. A sane military man. Okay, he's trying to say if he was a sane military man. As a sane military man, I will resign immediately. I think this one is enough for a military man to say, I am going. You know that in the military, it's not even easy for you to resign. But this guy is saying, with this kind of information that you're going to be working with pardon bandits and Boko Haram members, it's enough for you to just say, I go. I don't work anymore. Good luck, guys. The fight just began. This person say, good luck, guys. The fight has just begun. Showing a picture of bandits and terrorists taking selfies with all kinds of persons. And this person say, what the hell of a terrorist country is this? APC is a terrorist country. And another person here said, APC Boko Haram. APC say Boko Haram is their fighter. Now, this person said, this means the quickest way to join the Nigerian army is to become a member of Boko Haram, kill enough Christians, submit yourself as being repentant, and then the military will absorb you into the Nigerian army. Dear Ted Cruz, hey, this is a situation since APC-led government came to power. Can you imagine? This person even tapped Ted Cruz. Hey, Wahala just began, you know? Wahala just began. Oh, this is so sad, you know, that we are here as a country. And this other person said, and other psychiatric patients will deny this. Instead, IPOB will be correct. Okay, this person said, Nigeria is getting worse day by day. What a feed country. This person said, Nigeria is finished. We are finished. There's something very sinister going on between the army and the repentant terrorists. This is not good for anyone, but people are keeping quiet. The romance is making me uncomfortable. The quantity of illegal arms in the north is alarming. Hey. And then this other person said, we have just been saying this, that the Nigerian military is a terrorist organization working together with terrorists that is killing Nigerian Christians every day. Why can't Nigerian army emulate the way other fast-growing African countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Chad, and even recently Madagascar? Can't the so-called giant of African armies stood on their feet and overthrow this terrorist government? Another person here said, what the hell is a terrorist doing in the Nigerian army in the first place? This is the same army one person is asking Igbos youth to join. Hey, this is sad, honestly. And this other person is saying that this is how chaos starts. You can't mix victims with their former killers and call it rehabilitation. Soldiers risking their lives shouldn't have to watch their enemies wear same uniform, madness disguised in disguised as policy. I think this makes a lot of sense. You know, this person is saying that you cannot just allow, oh my God, it's really so sad that it appears the Nigerian military is now confused, you know. Nigerian government and its military are a state sponsor of radical terrorism. This is more than abundant proof. There's more than abundant proof. Dirty terrorists in the corridor of power in Nigeria. The federal government is responsible for the insecurity in Nigeria. No sane government would deem it fit to have terrorists work with people that are meant to eradicate terrorism. Repentant fighters, especially those integrated into combat unit, gain access to the military standard operation procedure, patrol routes, communication protocols, and the rest of it. So guys, it's sad for the country. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.